is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Underdog Podcast. Today, we have my NFC North Draft Grades video. Again, I just want to preface this. I'm here to be critical. I'm going to, slander your team. If I think you didn't do wrong, it's not going to be, rosy pictures with rainbows and, gold pots at the end. It's going to be critical. I think especially with this division, there are some draft classes that I'm going to be critical of. So I just want to throw that out there. This is the second episode of my series. If you did not check my NFC East draft grades, check that out before you come to this video or after. So this is the second one. Tomorrow will be NFC South, and Thursday will be NFC West. I hope you guys are excited for this series. I am, so it should be fun. So we're going to start off with our first team here in the NFC North, the Chicago Bears, who did not have a first-round pick, but did have two second-round picks, in which they both went defense, which was very surprising to me. I felt like Chicago in this draft class really needed to surround Justin Fields with more weapons and a better protection on the offensive line. Now, they addressed that later, but they did not address that early. So I'm going to slander/defend these picks. So with their first pick in the second round, they went Kyler Gordon. Now, Kyler Gordon to me was a borderline first rounder. I think he was getting some first round hype before he kind of came into the combine. He didn't have a great workout. He had a better pro day. But Kyler Gordon's going to go in there and he's going to be your immediate number 2 corner, which was a hole on their team. They had Jalen Johnson they took in the second round in 2020. And then they didn't really have anybody else. I think there was like Artie Burns. There was a couple other guys in there, but they were not number 2 corners. So Kyler Gordon's going to be in there. He's going to be immediate high floor player out of Washington. So he's going to be your immediate cornerback too, and be a really solid player for you. Got good ball skills, good technique. So I don't mind that pick as much. I think the pick that I'm more critical of, because I have a B+ grade for Kyler Gordon. The pick I'm more critical of is Jaquan Brisker, which is a B-. But I still understand this pick because in these Fangio-style defenses, your second safety is almost as important as like a third corner. I mean, because they do a lot. And Jaquan Brisker is going to be that guy. He's going to be all over the field. I mean, you'll see him in 2 high. You'll see him down in the box as a linebacker. You'll see him covering tight ends. You'll see him in the slot. It's a very movable chess piece for Matt Eberflus, and I understand that. And I also understand from the standpoint of it's a new regime in Chicago that didn't draft Justin Fields. So they're going to, maybe go by their own, personal beliefs instead of going with, what the fan base and everybody else should believe, and that's getting weapons around Justin Fields. So I understand these picks from a, Eberflus standpoint, but just from a team standpoint to get yourself, building blocks and to, get hopefully your future quarterback, from now going forward, some help. And they didn't do that in these first 2 picks. I thought they needed to do it with at least one. There was a bunch of good players on the board. Like George Pickens comes to mind, Tyquan Thornton, Bernard Raymond was still on the board. Zach Tom was still on the board. So it was an interesting direction for Chicago to go with their first 2 picks. And I kind of see why, but in my opinion, it still wasn't the best way to go. So those 2 picks for me combined are a B. I have a B+ on Kyler Gordon and a B- on Jaquan Brisker. And then we get into their meat of the draft. So we have Velus Jones Jr. from Tennessee, who I was lower on, but it's a good pick. It's just really interesting for me because this team has no size outside of Equanimeous St. Brown, who is a 6'2" tree with hands. Let's just put it that way. He's not a very good route runner. I don't think he's a very good receiver or whatnot. So you have Darnell Mooney on the outside or in the slot, who's a really good route runner, can stretch the field, and I like him a lot. Byron Pringle's like a worse version of him, and then you bring in Velus Jones, who's kind of like this gadget guy, return man type stuff. And I think he's going to have a role probably similar to like Jamal Agnew his first year in the league. We'll see how much he gets incorporated in the offense. I don't mind this pick, but I felt like if you're Chicago, you needed more of a day one impact at receiver. And two guys that went or a guy that went undrafted and Kevin Austin Jr. in my opinion would have been a better day one pick for me here. Khalil Shakir was on the board. I'm trying to think of some other guys, but it's interesting. They went Velus Jones. I don't hate this pick. I think he's a good player. But it's like, do you really need a gadget type guy coming in for Justin Fields immediately? He does bring them more speed, which I like, but it was just a really interesting direction for the Chicago Bears to go. Then we have Braxton Jones, the tackle from Southern Utah. Shout out to Big Sky. He's a really good athlete. He just needs NFL coaching. I mean, his technique's all over the place. Hand placement's not great. Footwork's not great. But he is a really good athlete, so I really like this pick. Chicago has been pretty good developing, at least their tackles. But again, you could have gone Bernard Raymond with that pick in the third round and maybe snag like a Khalil Shakir here in the fifth, or even a Kevin Austin or a Bo Melton. Interesting there. Then we have Dominique Robinson, the edge from Miami. I did not like this pick. Miami, Ohio, by the way. Did not like this pick at all. I thought he wasn't a draftable player. I didn't even think he was a priority undrafted free agent. So, I mean, he is athletic and has been, but he has like zero pass rush moves, zero, help against the run. So it'll be interesting to see if he works out there. And then they grabbed Zach Thomas from San Diego State, who played tackle there, but I think projects better as a guard. I just don't think he has the foot speed to play tackle. I thought that was a good pick, though, to shore up that interior offensive line. Then Tristan Ebner, from Baylor, running back. This gives them kind of their replacement to Tariq Cohen, but if they were going to draft a Baylor running back, why not Abram Smith? I thought he was a much better prospect than Ebner. I did have a priority UDFA on him, but I just, would have rather have them have Abram Smith, who's kind of got some more thump to him. As a smaller guy, Ebner is literally just like a scat back for him there. Then we have Doug Kramer from Illinois. I thought this was a good pickup. Really solid center. Veteran at Illinois, started a lot of games, played a lot of football, a little bit smaller, but I think he has a chance to blossom into at least a decent backup. And then they grabbed Jatiri Carter from Southern. I thought this was a really good pick. I had him as an early day 3 guy. I think he has real starter upside. He's a mauler in the run game. I think he just needs to develop more finesse as a pass blocker and a run blocker. He's a good athlete too, so I think this has the opportunity to be groomed into his starter. They lost James Daniels, and they don't really have a center, so I think he could slide in and play center. I like this pick here for the Chicago Bears. Then Elijah Hicks, decent pickup. I think he can be a special teamer. I don't know if he'll ever develop into a starter, but decent special teamer. And then they go with a punter with their last pick in the draft. So the final grade for me is a C+. Overall, I thought it was a good draft. I just think they missed out on the stuff they needed. I like Braxton Jones and the other additions they made to the offensive line. I thought it should have been earlier. I don't mind Velus Jones, but again, I thought there were better players on the board, more impactful day 1 players. So it's interesting the way that Chicago did this draft. I think a lot of people from, the Columbus area were like, why aren't they getting Justin Fields up? And I even said that. I was like, what is Chicago doing here? I don't understand the philosophy of going 2 defensive players. I get it from Matt Eberflus's background and what he needs in his defense, and he really didn't have a second safety. But I don't understand why they didn't go like George Pickens in the second round and then come back and get, Verone McKinley. You could have gotten Verone McKinley in any one of these day 3 picks, and that would have been and George Pickens, and then get Bernard Raymond in the third round, and that would have been an absolute home run of a draft. But instead, you decide to go defense first and then neglect offense until later in the draft. It was just a really interesting approach by the Bears. So I'm interested to see how that's going to work out for them in the long run. And then we have the Detroit Lions, who, with their first pick, drafted their hometown guy in Aiden Hutchinson. Wasn't surprised by that at all, especially with Travon Walker going number 1. He's going to be the highest impact rookie out of anybody in this class, probably a good bet to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's going to go in there. He's going to, approach the game with that kneecap biting mentality that Dan Campbell loves. I think he's gonna instantly change that pass rush. I think that was the biggest struggle for Detroit last year, was finding a pass rush. They're bringing back Charles Harris. You got Julian Okwara there. I think Romeo Okwara is coming off that Achilles injury. So Hutchinson Okwara is a nice 1-2. And then I like Julian and Charles Harris as depth pieces, so they can keep Romeo Okwara healthy. I think they can have a really solid pass rush duo going into next season. And then one of the biggest moves of the draft, coming up to 12, to not take a quarterback, but to take Jameson Williams, the wide receiver from Alabama. I absolutely love this move. They absolutely fleeced Minnesota. They moved up 20 spots in the first round and then only moved 12 back in the second and gave up a third-round pick. But I thought this was an absolutely phenomenal move from the Detroit Lions. A-plus grade, one of the best picks in this draft. Seriously, Jameson Williams is a gamer. I think he has legit 4.28 speed. And he's going to be a weapon. And Jared Goff is really good with the deep ball. I think that's one of his underrated characteristics as a quarterback. So you brought in DJ Chark, who's a really good deep ball route runner. You have Jameson Williams. I think Khalif Raymond is still on the team. And Josh Reynolds, who was with Goff in Los Angeles. So I really, really like that four. They're going to be explosive. They're going to be a really fun team to watch next year. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs quite yet, but I think Detroit really could make a push for that. So it'll be interesting to see how well this team plays next year. And then they picked Josh Paschal here in the second round, the edge from Kentucky. This was a really interesting pick. I think I've seen people all over the board on this. It's either, wow, this was an amazing pick, or, they weren't as much of a fan of it. I'm kind of in the middle. I think it's a B-. I had him as a third-round grade, but I think for what Detroit's looking for, I think they needed more run stopping on the edge, especially with losing Trey Flowers. And Julian Okwara and Charles Harris aren't great. So I think he can be a nice early down rotational edge with upside to be a good pass rusher. I think Paschal just is a little bit raw, similar to Travon Walker. I had him I think he was borderline top 10 edges for me, so this isn't a bad pick per se. It's just maybe not the direction I would have went. But I do like how he fits into this culture with Detroit. And then we have Kirby Joseph, the safety from Illinois, who I think him and Verone McKinley are probably the best true free safeties in this draft class. And they really have been missing that. They've been kind of rotating Tracy Walker and Will Harris, who I think are better and more of that strong safety in the box role. So this gives him a true free safety. I think he'll play from day one and be an impact player for Detroit. He had good ball skills at Illinois. I just worry about his tackling. So he might be just a reserve third down player on third and longs as well. But I think he can come in there and be a starting safety. And I think Hicks, the defensive coordinator there, will get him to buy into being, a run defender. I think that's what a lot of these guys are going to be able to do, is buy into this culture that they have in Detroit. Then the James Mitchell pick I really didn't like. I know they're really good at developing tight ends. That's what Dan Campbell does. He's really good at developing tight ends, really good at, developing them as blockers, as pass catchers, everything. I'm just not a big fan of James Mitchell. I didn't think he was a draftable prospect. I had him as a UDFA. So in the fifth round, that's a little rich for me. But I do see his upside. He's already a really good blocker, and Dan Campbell's going to make him even better. And he's got decent hands. I just don't see him being a tight end one someday. But I guess getting a blocking tight end here is not that bad after all for, the Lions, who really appreciate that type of thing. And then another steal here in Malcolm Rodriguez. I can't believe he lasted this long. He was in my top 10 linebackers. He's kind of a poor man's Nakobe Dean, I guess, and some aspects better than Nakobe Dean. I think he's going to be, okay in man coverage. I don't think he's ever going to be elite, but he can be good. I think he's solid against the run, not great, but I think he's going to be really, really good in zone coverage. He's got really good zone instincts. And they've kind of needed this player. So I really like Malcolm Rodriguez here to the Detroit Lions. I think it's a really good fit. And then James Houston, edge out of Jackson State. I think he's going to come in there. He's going to compete. Deion Sanders, first player drafted at Jackson State. So he's going to come in there. He's going to be hungry. He's going to compete. I don't know if he's going to make the team, but, a guy to watch out for there maybe. And then Chase Lucas, who was starter for a long time at Arizona State. Again, this is a guy that's going to come in here and compete, maybe make the roster as a special teams player, but we'll see. Those are Houston and Lucas are two Dan Campbell type guys. So the final grade for me here is an A for the Detroit Lions. I think they did a really good job of maximizing what they could do in the draft. And for them to come up and get Jamison Williams was incredible, man. I did not, that move came out of left field. I did not see that coming. That was a really great move. Secure Aiden Hutchinson as well. Get Malcolm Rodriguez in there as well. I think it was a really, really good draft for the Detroit Lions. And not everyone's favorite team. Everyone's favorite team criticizing the drafting, the Green Bay Packers. So let's start with their 2 first-round picks. The grade between these two is a C- because the Quay Walker pick, man. I described this in my first-round draft grades video. It's so funny to me that everybody would dog on Las Vegas for always in the first round reaching for, players that played at big programs, big Power 5 programs, that were second, third round prospects, and that played either in big games or the national championship game even. So with the Raiders, it was, when they got the 3 first-round picks for the Cooper deal, and I can't remember who else they traded, but, Khalil Mack. So they got Clelin Ferrell at 4, which was a massive reach. And then they got Josh Jacobs, a running back, which is in and of itself, I think they declined his 5th-year option, so that's, telling there as well. And Jonathan Abram, who was a box safety in the first round. It's kind of funny. And they also declined his option. And then last year they took Alex Leatherwood, which was a big reach. This was a massive reach by the Packers of a guy who was a Power 5 program and played in the national championship game. Look, I like Quay Walker in the 3rd round, not in the 1st round, especially after Devondre Campbell had an all-pro season that came out of nowhere. And you just paid him like 5 years, $50 million. So why the hell are you taking a linebacker? Especially when on 3rd down, almost 95% of the time, the Packers go dime. Like they take their linebacker off the field and they go dime. Green Bay is one of the highest dime playing teams in the league. So why the hell are you taking Quay Walker in the 1st round when you just had an all-pro Devondre Campbell who's really good in coverage and Quay Walker is not? Quay Walker is better against the run, blitzing, anything else but coverage. I think I understand it maybe from the standpoint of you needed more beef in the run game, but this is my point, is you took Devontae Wyatt at 28, which I think is a good pick. I have that as a B+. I really like Devontae Wyatt. I think that he adds more interior pass rush that they needed. Jaron Reed's going to be your early down guy, and then you're going to bring in Devontae Wyatt, which is actually a good pick for the Packers. They needed somebody like this. My point is, why didn't you take Devontae Wyatt at 22, which still would have been really good value, take Christian Watson or whoever at 28, and then you have 2 second-round picks that you that you gave up to go get Christian Watson at the 2nd pick of the 2nd round, and you still would have had those picks, and you could have taken Quay Walker in the 2nd round. And then it would have been a really good draft, because I still probably would have graded that pick, I don't know, C+, B-, because it would have been the spot where I would have thought about Quay Walker. Not in the 1st round. And you would have gotten another impactful player there. You could have gotten another receiver. I don't know, man. I mean, it's just the philosophy behind it. I don't get behind these 2 picks for me. Together, grade out as a C-. Again, the Quay Walker pick is an F just because it's just atrocious. It was one of the worst picks of the draft. And then Devontae Wyatt's a B+ because I really do like Devontae Wyatt here. But their process of doing it just did not make any sense to me whatsoever. Like, I don't know, man. You can't explain the Packers. So then we get into the meat of their draft. You have Christian Watson, who I deem this as an A-. The only reason I don't have as an A or an A+ is because you had to come back up to get him. You gave up 2 second-round picks for him. I think Christian Watson's going to be a really good player. I think he's going to be put right in that MVS role and succeed right away with Aaron Rodgers. I think he's going to really, be the most productive receiver. And for everybody talking about his drop issues, he wasn't really a focal point at North Dakota State. They're really more run-heavy offense. So his drop rate was really high because he didn't get a lot of targets. I think his drop rate was like 13% or something like that, or something crazy. But I think in reality it was more like 6.5, 7 because of the fact that he wasn't getting as many targets as everybody else. And I think it was due to more concentration issues rather than bad hands. I think Christian Watson's going to be a really good player. He's a really good fit in this scheme. So I really like that pick. And then in the 3rd round to get Sean Ryan, that was a great pick as well. He was a tackle at UCLA. I don't think he has the length or athleticism to play tackle the next level, but he's going to be a really nice guard for you. Really like Sean Ryan. Fits their scheme well. Is very athletic and get on the move for those wide zone concepts that Green Bay likes to run. So I really like that pick. And then they steal Romeo Doubs in the 4th round. I really liked Romeo Doubs from Nevada. I was higher on him the most. I think he was my wide receiver 13. I had a 3rd round grade on him, so this is really good value for him here at the end of the 4th. The only reason it's not an A+ pick is because I think that he didn't have a great combine workout. So I'm a little bit worried about that. He was a little dinged up at Nevada. But I think he's a poor man's Devontae Adams. And what I mean by that is he's going to be really good in the back shoulder game, which Aaron Rodgers is really good at. One of the best quarterbacks in the league at doing that. He's going to have to build a rapport to Rodgers, though, for that. But he has the awareness to be able to do that. He's a really good route runner. I don't know how much he's going to play, though, with Lazard, Amari Rodgers, Randall Cobb. And there's one other dude that I'm thinking of that's ahead of him. But I think Doubs can, in a couple years, be really, really productive. Lazard is up after next season, so I wonder if they'll let him walk. Really like the Doubs pick, though. And then the Zach Tom pick I like even better. He was my 6th tackle on the board. This is absolutely phenomenal value in the 4th round. A freaking plus. He was an early 2nd round grade for me. How did you get this long? I mean, this was a really, really good pick for Green Bay. Tom is going to go in there, probably start at right tackle, maybe even right guard. Depends on what they want to do with Elton Jenkins, who can kind of play both. But Tom can play either one. He's a really, really good pass protector. I love his footwork, love his hand placement. I just think he needs to get a stronger anchor. He was beat with power a little bit at Wake Forest, but I love this pick for Green Bay. It was a phenomenal pick, one of the best picks of the draft. Then we have Kingsley Enagbare in the 5th round. I was not very high on Kingsley Enagbare. I had him as a 6th to a 7th round player. PFF had him going in the 2nd round. I was like, what? He's not a great athlete at all. He's going to offer you absolutely nothing as a pass rusher that is consistent. But I think he can be a high-effort player against the run. You saw that at South Carolina. I think he's going to be, not that he's ever going to be Jadeveon Clowney, but he's going to be similar to Jadeveon Clowney, where he's not really going to be a pass rusher. He's going to be more of a run defender, high motor guy, early down rotational guy. So, I like that pick to shore up their edge depth, which, they're going to have to pay Rashawn Gary. They're going to have to pay, Preston Smith. They're going to have to pay Adrian Amos, guys like that. So that was a good pick from them. And then Tariq Carpenter, I thought it was a solid pick. I had him as a priority UDFA grade. Going to compete in here. He's, fast, can hit, sure tackler, improves Packers special teams. We all know how much the Packers special teams really sucked last season. I mean, it cost them a playoff game against the 49ers. So he's going to improve your special teams. Jonathan Ford, I had him as one of the worst IDLs in this class, but maybe he'll prove me wrong. We'll see. He's a decent run defender, but offers you nothing as a pass rusher. And then Rasheed Walker, this is a really good steal. I had him as a 5th to 6th round player, so really good value at the end of it. A lot of people had him like 3rd, 4th round. I wasn't quite that far, but I was higher on Rasheed Walker. So it's a really good pick for the Packers. At least gives you a swing tackle in the future. I think he's going to need some time to develop, but good pick there. And then Samori Toure from Nebraska, fast guy, special teamer, might have a chance to make the roster. Who knows? With that receiving room being as bad as it is for the Green Bay Packers. So overall, good draft. I have as a B+. Can't give it an A because of the Quay Walker atrocity. But overall, it was a really good draft for the Green Bay Packers. Was very happy with the fact that Brian Gutekunst finally did not screw it up. And then we have the Minnesota Vikings. And let me tell you right now, I was not a fan of their draft class at all. So to start, we have Lewis Cine from Georgia, the safety. And he's a developmental safety. He's going to play behind Harrison Smith and Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods left. I don't remember who's the other guy there. But if he's going to play right away, that's ridiculous. I don't think he's ready to play right away. Just the whole trade back for me was kind of ridiculous for them. It just didn't really make any sense. With Jameson Williams staring at you in the face, with Trent McDuffie sitting there, Kyle Hamilton, I just don't really get it. This pick is a D for me. I really did not like this pick at all. It was not great. Then we have Andrew Booth Jr., who I absolutely freaking loved. True first round grade for me. So I have it as an A+. Phenomenal pick for the Minnesota Vikings. He fell out due to medical, which was understandable. But Andrew Booth Jr. is a gamer, man. He's a gamer. He's going to be really nice in this zone defense. So love that pick. And then we have Ed Ingram, the guard from LSU. Let's just say I didn't like this pick either. I had him as a 5th round player, so it's a D for me. The only reason it's not an F is because I think he does have some upside, but I think Ed Ingram offers you absolutely nothing as a run defender, or a run blocker, sorry. And what Minnesota loves to do is pound the rock, and Ed Ingram's not going to be able to do that for you. He's a really, really solid pass-protecting guard. He's got really good technique, really good hand placement, everything like that, but he's not at all a mover of people. He just doesn't do that. And on top of that, he has off-the-field issues, so I'm really kind of out on this pick. So we'll see if he proves me wrong, but I'm not really a big fan of it. Then we have Brian Asamoah, the 2nd linebacker of Oklahoma. Let me get this straight. I do like Brian Asamoah, but in the 3rd round, it's way too early. I had him as a 4th, late 4th, early 5th. I have this pick as a D because if they're asking Brian Asamoah to come in there and play at all this season, that's going to be a tough ask. I mean, I think he's a really good mentor there in Eric Kendricks because I think he could be like a poor man's Eric Kendricks because he has really good coverage instincts. He's good in zone. I don't think he's going to be ever great man because he's stiff. But he offers you nothing as a run defender. So really he's like a dime linebacker for you right now. Probably can provide some help on special teams, but it was just a really early pick for Minnesota. I didn't like it at all. And then a Caleb Evans in the 4th round, who I like, good player, maybe insurance for Andrew Booth. Health reasons, I have this pick grade as a B. I mean, come in there, at least be your dime guy right away, if not, nickel or even starting on the outside if Booth's not healthy. So I like a Caleb Evans. He brings you versatility throughout your secondary. He even can play some safety if you need him to. Then we have Asezi Otomewu. I don't know if I even said that right, but I have this pick graded as a C. It's fine. I had him later. I had him like 6th to priority free agent, which is not horrible, but it's fine. Again, the interior defensive lineman class isn't great, so it's whatever. And then Ty Chandler is a nice 3rd down back for you, something they didn't have. Good pass catcher out of the backfield, can make guys miss, so I have that grade as a B. Vidarian Lowe I liked out of Illinois. Was higher on him, so 5th, 6th round grade. This is about where I had him. Maybe a little bit early, but B- grades, pretty good. Jalen Naylor from Michigan State, I think he's a good route runner, but, I think there's definitely some work to be done. I think he's poor man's Cooper Kupp, so we'll see if he turns into anything. I see what they liked in him, fits their scheme very well, so I have that as a C+, because I thought he was an undrafted guy. And then Nick Muse from South Carolina, decent, backup tight end. So the final grade for me for this is going to be a D+. I really did not like this draft from Minnesota. I thought they reached on Seen, Ingram, Asamoah, and then, the only pick that I truly loved was Booth. So, yeah, not a great draft for me for the Minnesota Vikings. But yeah, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, subscribe if you enjoy the content. We'll have more of these draft grade videos out for you soon enough. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope you have a great day and peace.